Welcome to our journey through time as we explore one of the most transformative periods in Indian history. This is the episode 1 of the Medieval India series, the era of the Delhi Sultanate. Spanning from 1206 to 1526 CE, this era marks the establishment and consolidation of Islamic rule in India. During these 3 centuries, 5 successive dynasties ruled from Delhi: the Mamluk, Khilji, Tughlaq, Sayyid and Lodi dynasties. Let us begin at the very beginning, with the Mamluks. The word Mamluk means owned or slave in Arabic. This dynasty was founded by Qutb-ud-din Aibak, a former slave who rose through the ranks under the Ghurid ruler Muhammad Ghori. After Ghori's death in 1206, Aibak declared independence and established the Delhi Sultanate. Qutb-ud-din Aibak was a generous patron of architecture and is credited with starting the construction of the Qutb Minar. However, his rule was short. He died in a polo accident in 1210. He was succeeded by Iltutmish, a far more capable ruler who consolidated the empire. Iltutmish is notable for introducing the Iqta system, a form of land revenue administration, and for earning the recognition of the Caliph of Baghdad, which gave religious legitimacy to his rule. His most impressive act, however, may have been naming his daughter, Razia Sultana, as his successor. In a patriarchal era, Razia was a bold choice. She ruled from 1236 to 1240 and proved to be a competent and just ruler, but faced strong opposition from nobles who could not accept a woman on the throne. She was eventually defeated and killed. The Mamluk dynasty declined due to internal rivalries and weak successors, paving the way for the rise of the Khiljis. Founded by Alauddin Khilji, this dynasty marked a shift in power from Turkish nobility to Afghan rulers. Alauddin was assassinated by his ambitious nephew, Alauddin Khilji, who then seized the throne. Alauddin Khilji was one of the most powerful and controversial rulers of the Sultanate. He expanded the empire into southern India, defeating kingdoms like Devagiri, Warangal, and Dwarasamudra. But his military achievements were only part of his legacy. Alauddin introduced market reforms to control prices and prevent hoarding, a rare and advanced idea for the 14th century. He kept a large standing army, reduced the power of nobles, and imposed strict control over trade and revenue. He also successfully repelled multiple Mongol invasions, a feat not many could claim. However, his rule was marked by cruelty and suspicion. He trusted no one and ruled with an iron fist. After his death in 1316, his successors were weak and the dynasty fell within a few years. The Tughlaqs were known for their grand ambitions and sometimes their bizarre decisions. The dynasty was founded by Ghiyas-ud-din Tughlaq, but his son, Muhammad bin Tughlaq, is the most remembered ruler. Muhammad bin Tughlaq was a brilliant man, highly educated and full of ideas, but his reign is often cited as a classic example of good intentions gone wrong. He shifted the capital from Delhi to Daulatabad in the south, forcing thousands to march across the country, only to abandon the move later. He introduced token currency made of brass and copper, which led to widespread forgery and economic collapse. His taxation policies in the Doab region were so harsh that farmers abandoned their lands. Yet it would be unfair to see him only through his failures. He was the first sultan to think of India as one united political entity, stretching from the Himalayas to Madurai. His cousin, Firoz Shah Tughlaq, was a more pragmatic ruler. He focused on building infrastructure, canals, gardens, schools, and hospitals. He reduced taxes and emphasized public welfare. But by the late 14th century, the empire had weakened, and regional powers began asserting independence. After Timur's invasion in 1398, Delhi was left in ruins. The next dynasty, the Sayyids, claimed descent from the Prophet Muhammad, but their rule was largely symbolic. They had little real power and ruled only a shrinking territory around Delhi. The Sayyid rulers tried to rebuild Delhi and maintain some order, but they lacked both the resources and the charisma to revive the empire. Their rule marked a transitional period, more about survival than expansion. The last dynasty of the Delhi Sultanate, the Lodis, were Afghans. Founded by Bahlul Lodi, they managed to recover some lost territories and strengthen the kingdom. But it was Sikandar Lodi who gave the dynasty a firm administrative foundation. He encouraged trade, built roads, and maintained law and order. He also promoted Persian culture and literature. However, the last Lodi ruler, Ibrahim Lodi, was unpopular with his nobles and faced multiple rebellions. His inability to maintain loyalty eventually led to his downfall. In 1526, Babur, a descendant of Timur and Genghis Khan, defeated Ibrahim Lodi at the First Battle of Panipat. This marked the end of the Delhi Sultanate and the beginning of the Mughal Empire. Now, what was the impact of the Delhi Sultanate? Politically, it established centralized Islamic rule in a largely Hindu land, introducing Persian as the court language and administrative practices that would continue under the Mughals. Architecturally, the Sultanate left us monuments like the Qutb Minar, Alai Darwaza, Tughlaq Fort, and Lodi Gardens, a fusion of Persian, Arabic, and Indian styles. Culturally, it led to the growth of Indo-Islamic art, Urdu language, and Sufi movements, which had a lasting effect on Indian society. It also created new urban centers and encouraged trade and crafts. However, the period was not without violence. There were frequent rebellions, religious conflicts, and court intrigues. Yet the Delhi Sultanate laid the foundation for modern Indian administration, city planning, and military structure. To conclude, the Delhi Sultanate was not just a chapter of conquest and dynasties, it was a period of deep transformation. It brought new ideas, technologies, art forms, and governance models into India. It shaped the subcontinent in ways that still echo in our cities, languages, and institutions. The story of the Delhi Sultanate is a story of ambition, struggle, innovation, and adaptation. A rich tapestry that still colors the fabric of Indian history. Thank you for listening. Please like, share, and subscribe.